Hello there and welcome to Walker on the Wild Side. My name is Ben Walker and today I'm going to be making Rocky Road. Now this is one of my favourite sweet treats and it's very easy and simple to make. But if you are watching this video, don't forget to subscribe so you can see all this other kind of stuff. I'm not going to be cooking most of the time, I'll be honest. It's not my natural talent, but I'm going to give it a go because this is absolutely delicious. So keep watching and I'll show you guys how to make it. So the ingredients we have before us today are 200 grams of rich tea biscuits, 100 grams of mini marshmallows, some glacier cherries, 300 grams of dark chocolate, but we didn't have enough dark so we used some milk in there as well. I'm sure it's going to be fine anyway. And 125 grams of butter with what's meant to be 3 tablespoons of golden syrup, but I'm just going to put some in until it looks right basically. It's an exact science, as you can tell. Now the first step from here is to crush these biscuits. You know, you don't want them to turn into a fine powder. They just have to be little bite-sized chunks. So what you want to do is put them inside a bag, inside another bag. That way you can catch any overspill. Then you wrap up this end like so, and that way you can keep it nice and tight as you start to crush them. Now you can use rolling pins or whatever to do this, but I think it's best just to use the heel of your hand just to push and crush. And that way you can really control how big you're making these chunks. So once you've done your bashing, you should end up with pieces that are, you know, a various size, that big, whatever. Just nice little bite-sized chunks. And then it's time to start melting your chocolate. So you take your chocolate in a saucepan, whack that in there. And then you're gonna wanna add your butter, whack that in there. Lovely jubbly. And then 3 tablespoons of golden syrup. Now I can't be bothered to measure this out, so I'm just gonna do 3 squirts and hopefully that'll be all right. 1, 2, 3 and a half. Okay, and then all you want to do is melt this over a low heat. So just need to whack this on, there we go, and you're going to start melting it down. Now obviously you don't want to melt it too quick, but just to get it up to temperature, I've got it on quite high at the moment. And then immediately turn it down as soon as you see any melting at all. Now the important thing is to keep on stirring and get right down into the corners because obviously this is going to turn quite gloopy and sticky. So you need to make sure you're stirring it all in constantly. So while you're doing this, it's very important to make sure that the chocolatey stuff doesn't boil. You just need to heat it nice and gently until you get a wonderful smooth mixture. So while you're doing this, it's very important to make sure that the chocolate doesn't boil. You just want a nice smooth mixture just like this. Nice and easy to stir, but get right into those edges as well so the chocolate doesn't burn. Now once it's nice and melted like this, what you're going to do is split it into 2 halves. So you're going to take about half the mixture and pour it into a bowl you have lying around like that one there. So very nice and carefully, just pour it in. And this is stuff that you're going to be using a little bit later. I'm not sure how much is half, but that will probably do. Maybe a bit more. As I said earlier, it is an exact science. And the next step is potentially the most important step. It's adding all the stuff in. So adding all the stuff in, you of course have all the biscuits. So obviously you're going to spill some, that's fine. Just pour it in. And if you feel like it, dunk the bag in the chocolate as well, as I've done. Next comes the marshmallows. I know this looks like a lot, but that's fine. Whack them all in. And then at this point, you're going to want to give it a stir because there's quite a lot of stuff in there. And as you are stirring it, you want to slowly add these cherries in because they're quite gloopy. So you need to add them in a little bit at a time. And that way, you're not going to get a massive concentration of cherries in one specific spot. And keep stirring nice and gently. Because obviously you don't want it to spill everywhere, as I am doing right there. So So as you added all the stuff, it starts to look a bit like this. And if you look carefully, you can see the marshmallows are just going slightly sticky and gloopy. So you whack the heat on for a couple of seconds just to make sure you've got that heat in there, and keep turning it over. Make sure it's nice and thoroughly mixed. So in the end, you want it looking just like this. As you can see, the marshmallows are all gloopy and stretchy and melted basically. So once you got that, you need to head over to some trays that you've got ready, pre-done. All I've done is spray them with a little butter in there, and then you want to add the mixture in. And as you can see, it is quite stodgy at this point. So you need to be fairly generous with it all. And just make sure that you're not putting too much in, obviously, because you need that extra layer of chocolate to be able to go on top. So we've got all the mixture into these two trays, and this is where the melted chocolate, well, melted mixture chocolate stuff we took out earlier comes into place. So all we have to do is pour this over nice and smooth like. And now obviously you don't want to put too much just into one of them, so you need to make sure they're even on each of the mixtures you've made, as this is going to give it a nice layer of chocolate over the top. So all you have to do is smooth out the chocolate once you put it on. You need a nice even coat going all the way across, and it is easier to do that with a spoon rather than a big old spatch. So just make sure it's nicely smoothed out all the way across on both of them. So once you've got the chocolate nicely smoothed over, the next step is to put these in the fridge for at least a couple of hours. You don't want to take them out too early because then they won't be set. So leave them in the fridge for at least a couple of hours. You can do overnight, whatever tickles your fancy. Just make sure they're getting nice and set in there. So these have been in the fridge for about 3 hours now. They are nicely solid, which means they are ready to cut and then eat, which of course is the best bit about making them. So grab your knife and slice down, and you should have a nice cross section with biscuits, marshmallows, and a little cherry right in there as well. That means you've done it right. You don't want too much of anything really. It has to be nice and evenly mixed. But either way, it doesn't really matter. Rocky Road's a bit of a gamble anyway. So long as it tastes nice, which this does, then I'm sure you guys will be very happy, because this is definitely the best bit about making it, being able to eat it before anyone else. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. These are very, very easy to make, so definitely worth trying if you're not very good at cooking like me and you fancy making something nice. If you have enjoyed this, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, all of that stuff. If there's anything else you'd like me to do as well, let me know in the comments below and I'll get cracking on that. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys all again soon.